Luke chapter 12 verse 15 says, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." This powerful verse serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that come with the pursuit of wealth and material possessions. In our modern world, it's easy to get caught up in the race to acquire more money, more gadgets, more status symbols. We often equate our self-worth with the things we own, believing that they will bring us happiness and fulfillment. However, the reality is that an abundance of possessions can clutter not just our homes, but our minds and hearts as well. The more we accumulate, the more we have to worry about. We become trapped in a cycle of wanting and acquiring, never truly satisfied with what we have. This verse warns us about the danger of riches. It's a call to pause and reflect on what truly matters in life. Are we living for temporary material gains, or are we seeking something deeper and more meaningful? It's easy to think that having more things will make us happy. Advertisements and social media constantly bombard us with images of the perfect life, filled with luxury and abundance. But these images are often illusions, masking the emptiness that can come from a life focused solely on material wealth. But Jesus tells us that true life is not found in material possessions. True life is about finding peace, joy, and contentment in the simple things. It's about nurturing our relationships, both with others and with ourselves. It's about finding purpose and meaning beyond the physical and the tangible. Real life is about having a relationship with God and living for something bigger than ourselves. It's about giving back to our communities, helping those in need, and finding joy in acts of kindness and love. When we shift our focus from what we can get to what we can give, we discover a deeper sense of fulfillment and happiness. When we focus on getting more and more things, we can lose sight of what truly matters. We can miss out on the beauty of the present moment, the joy of simple pleasures, and the richness of human connection. So, let's take a step back and reassess our priorities. Let's remember that true wealth is not measured by what we have, but by who we are and how we live our lives. Jesus says in Luke chapter 12 verse 33, "Sell your possessions and give to the poor." This directive from Jesus is not just about the act of selling, but about the spirit of generosity and selflessness. It's a call to detach from material wealth and focus on the well-being of others. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, meaning invest in things that have eternal value. These are not physical purses, but rather spiritual and moral investments that stand the test of time, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, unlike earthly treasures that can be stolen or destroyed. This heavenly treasure is secure and everlasting, offering peace and fulfillment that material wealth cannot provide, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. This emphasizes the imperishable nature of spiritual wealth, which remains untouched by the decay and corruption that affect worldly possessions. In this verse, Jesus is talking about our priorities. He challenges us to reflect on what we truly value and where we place our trust. Are we investing in temporary material things or in lasting spiritual treasures? We can't serve two masters. This means that our hearts cannot be divided between God and money. We must choose what will guide our lives and decisions. We can't love both God and money. When we try to balance both, we end up compromising our values and losing sight of what truly matters. When we make money our priority, it becomes an idol in our lives. This idolatry leads us away from our spiritual path and creates a false sense of security and happiness. We start to worship it instead of God. Our actions and decisions become centered around accumulating wealth rather than living a life of faith and compassion. This leads to greed, selfishness, and a lack of compassion for others. We become blind to the needs of those around us, focusing solely on our own desires and gains. Jesus calls us to a higher standard, one where love and generosity prevail over materialism and greed. We see examples of this conflict between loving God and loving money all the time. Think about the person who is always working, always chasing the next promotion, but never has time for their family or for God. They have become enslaved by their desire for more money. Or think about the person who is so focused on buying the latest gadgets, the biggest house, the nicest car, that they forget about the needs of others. Their love for material possessions has blinded them to the needs of those around them. So how do we prioritize our love for God over money? It starts with trust. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and our relationship with God is no different. When we trust in God's provision, we can let go of the anxiety and fear that often accompany financial concerns. This trust allows us to focus on what truly matters: our faith, our family, and our community. We need to trust that God will provide for our needs. This doesn't mean we should be reckless with our finances, but rather that we should be wise stewards of what we have been given. By managing our resources responsibly, we can ensure that we have enough to meet our needs and still have plenty to share with others. When we trust God, we can be content with what we have and be generous with what we have been given. Contentment is a rare quality in today's world, where we are constantly bombarded with messages telling us we need more. But when we find contentment in God's provision, we can resist the urge to accumulate more and instead focus on giving more. Generosity flows naturally from a heart that trusts in God's abundance. We can use our money to bless others and make a difference in the world. Imagine the impact we could have if we all chose to use our resources to help those in need. Whether it's through financial donations, volunteering our time, or simply offering a kind word, we have the power to make a positive difference in the lives of others. Remember, true treasure is not found in material possessions, but in our relationship with God and in living a life of purpose and meaning. Material possessions can bring temporary satisfaction, but they can never fulfill the deeper longings of our hearts. Only a relationship with God can provide the lasting joy and peace we seek. By living a life of purpose and meaning, we can experience the true treasure that comes from knowing and serving God. Let's choose to love God above all else, and use our resources to make a positive impact on the world around us. When we prioritize our relationship with God, we can find true contentment and joy. Let's commit to using our time, talents, and treasures to serve others and make a difference in our communities. In doing so, we will discover the true treasure that comes from living a life of love and generosity.